All right, we're starting a couple minutes early. I know the lighting in here isn't really great. It's right on the side of my office, so I didn't get another lamp to make it look all professional, but I wanted to see you first. I just went down memory lane looking at all of the videos I've been doing and going through Google Hangouts and just kind of checking it out. And I was thinking about the material that I'm going to be sharing with you today, and we're really going to talk about foods that are going to be fun. Because if you've been with me through the cleanse or any kind of journey with really cleaning out your system to eating really meticulous with a lot of vegetables. Today I want to take a new little journey into looking at different diets that will make it fun to eat and really approach, what's the foods that you really want to stay away from and foods that you can kind of play with. And so you'll get some new recipes today. So if you've signed up, you're going to be receiving the workbook that comes with today. If you're seeing me on YouTube, I'll make sure I have a link so you can get that workbook also. So let's venture in. I just, I started to get in here early, just wanted to say hello. But, it's interesting, after January doing the detox with the big group, it has been really, really fun. I think it was one of the most meaningful groups that I've had because we were all very much interacting, being a part of the journey, because it's a really intense journey to take away the food that we usually are emotionally attached to. And we learn that more as we go along with our journey every single day in the 14 days of going through this detox. If you are with me because you've done the 14 days to flat belly, another thing that is total clean eating and really working at balancing the hormones so you can really slim that body. So there's a lot of things going on when it comes to emotions and food and being able to balance it and really stepping into, watching what you're putting in your mouth and how that feels to you. Because as you start cleaning it up, you realize that you can't have that cookie anymore, or maybe if you've given up caffeine because you know that it's not working for you. So welcome today. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to talk about digestion. We're going to also talk about a certain type of foods that I've been wanting to really share with you because it really makes it kind of fun to look at these new foods. Instead of just vegetables and protein and all that, we're going to have a little bit more of a flair to it today. So let me share my screen with you and we'll get started right away. So the workbook that you get today with this is just a welcoming for being here with me today. And again, if you've seen me on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube. I always have weekly stuff going on, coaching and really helping you step into action. I always think about action and results. We always want results. Let's start stepping into the overall picture of getting the good food in our body and how we're going to be able to do that. Because even if you're eating great food, sometimes your body doesn't digest it. So it's really being present with the food that you're eating. So looking at this system right here, you have your liver, gallbladder, you have your intestines, which is your digestion that goes through, and that's where your stuff gets absorbed. And then you have your stomach, and your stomach has to be really acidic to be able to burn through any of the germs that we're swallowing. And so you want the whole system balanced to be able to help you with the flu season, cold season, getting sick annually. I just had Lori tell me this morning that for years she's had the flu, and this is the first year that she hasn't. So she stepped into the cleanse this period, but also she's been, doing a lot of reading herself and learning about her body, and that's what it's all about. That's what it takes. Instead of just ignoring the symptoms and not really stepping into action, Lori's been able to really take it serious this year in 2014. So 2015 year is going to be great for all of us. We learned a lot through this journey of what foods to eat and what foods don't make us feel good. Also, you know what, when you think of your digestion and how you're going to get all that good food in you, it really takes about 6 steps because there's like 60 hormones that we need in our system working to release stuff to digest our protein, digest our starches, to make the transition from our stomach into our digestion so that our acid from our stomach doesn't burn our digestive tract. The list goes on, but it's just a journey that your food goes through and how you have to really be present. So what it does is when you first start eating, it really starts in the head of really being present, really knowing and telling yourself that it's time to eat. Instead of being in crazy conversation and talking and not really thinking about, what you're doing, and not really thinking about that you need to get your saliva glands going because you're really excited about eating. That's always the most important thing, because what happens is that's when your saliva glands start releasing. That's what's going to help with you digesting your food, but also the enzymes in your mucus, and your also with your saliva. It's going to help break everything down. Then once it gets in the mouth, the food, you really want to chew it and chew until it is liquid. So liquid is really important before you go into your stomach. Then it goes through your esophagus into your stomach, then absorbs into your small intestine. And this is where most of your food gets digested. And this is where you have to really take care of the foods that you're eating instead of soda and packaged foods. This is where you can really hurt the lining of this area and the little villi hairs that help you absorb your nutrients. So this is a really important area here. It says small intestine because it's smaller in how round it is, but the larger intestine has to do with, that's when the food starts accumulating, and that's where you actually excrete it. So then you have your colon, and you have your hormones and nervous system. So you want to be relaxing and smelling. You want to chew. And this is all important for your next steps to really understand, from going to through the detox, if you're with me after doing the detox again, or the 14 flat belly days of flat belly, or if you are here and you've been trying really hard to eat as clean as you can, to understand this process is vital to being able to have a really healthy program. So you want to be aware of, what happens in your stomach, in your small digestive tract, and then really learning about, probiotics. So once you're in your the foods in your digestive tract, you want to make sure that you're eating those foods that have the really good bacteria, so that it keeps everything alive, so that it can break down your food and absorb in your body. So real important stuff. And also, what I found interesting when I was putting this information together a while ago, is that, we eat yogurt because it has good probiotics, but you want to be aware if it has been pasteurized. Let's see, it says, so somewhere here, if it's been pasteurized, that means it's killed the enzymes that helps you absorb the probiotics. So as we age, our enzymes, we need to really have those around to help us digest. When we're younger, most likely we have a lot of enzymes that we're going to be able to absorb our food easier. But as we get older, we really need help. And if we're using foods like yogurt to help us add some more probiotics into our system, we want to make sure that it's not been pasteurized, because through that process, the special, wonderful quality of stuff that you get from yogurt has already been killed through the process of pasteurization. So when you're looking at yogurt, you want to look to see if it's been pasteurized. If it hasn't been, you know that it has live cultures in it, and it's going to help you digest your food. Also, this is another thing, is you have to be aware of, if you're drinking milk, that if milk has been pasteurized, which means that you'd have to have raw milk if you didn't have it pasteurized, that the enzymes have been killed in that process too, because the milk has gone through a process where it kills all the live cultures. And those live cultures is what helps you digest your food. And if you are eating those foods, then you're going to have a hard time digesting it. So it's so important to really step into eating foods that you really, really love, that are going to help you digest your food but not hurt your digestion. And this is where your large intestine is. You know what I find, since I do a little bit of face reading and just looking at how somebody's digesting their food, is that when you look at, if somebody's having problems with constipation or not digesting their food well, you're going to notice that the two things can happen. That your whole face is aging really quickly, because that's a direct connection with the circulation of the digestive tract, or that you have breakouts throughout your face. So if you have had that problem, or you know somebody that's had that problem, you want to be really kind of telling them that, that's when you know that somebody's not digesting their food and that they are not, and that they're constipated and not really excreting through their systems. You have to be real aware if that's happening to you, or a really good friend, make sure that they are aware of that, that probably they're tired because they're just not digesting their food, and their body is not really excreting the stuff that they need to. But the large intestine is important also because that's where you're going to absorb your vitamin K, your B12, riboflavin, all those wonderful things that help your body function. So to take care of that, you want to be aware of your bowel movements. You want to be aware of your bowel movements. And if you feel like you have a lower back pain, and you haven't been really going to the bathroom, it's something to really step into and learn more about your body. And I focus on that a lot with Fit Camp, and also the 14 days to flat belly. We talk a lot about that because that's part of the journey of really helping yourself focus. So the Mediterranean diet is one I want to share with you today, because this one I find to be fantastic, a really, really fun way to eat. And it really lines up with our next stages, because we're talking about the fruits, vegetables, and we're talking about whole grains, olive oil, beans, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. That's like your biggest part of your pyramid here. Then comes your fish and seafood. So that's going to get your omega-3, some great fat. And then next comes your poultry, which would be chicken, eggs, and then meats and sweets. So isn't that interesting that meats and sweets are like in the same area? So they're saying like red meat, pork is not really something you should be having in your diet a lot. And I was watching, I don't know if you follow Dr. Furman. He's a doctor and he also is holistic. He's one of the people that when I was going through my school, that he was actually teaching there. So Dr. Furman is incredible, really up on his game. And lately he's been talking about red meat being the worst for us to be eating. And he's not saying exclude it totally. He's saying about 10% of your diet should be something like that, because they're finding that it's not the saturated fat that's hurting us, that it's actually the type of protein. And as they've been following these studies, he, I believe, said 16 or 14 years of following the studies, that they're finding that these are the groups that are having the bigger issues with cancer. So it's interesting what they're learning about cancer, and how to be really smart about your choices in food. So if you are a red meat eater, and this is something that you want to do more research on, look up Dr. Furman. There's going to be more research out there, so I'll be able to quote some more stuff. But this is something that's new that I just recently heard. I try and keep up with him because he actually is one of the ones that's still part of the research and really understanding and watching these groups as he's taking them down through these different processes. So the area that we're going to really focus in is like pastas and whole grain stuff. Now, the benefits of Mediterranean diet is if you are dealing with anything from cardiovascular issues, your midsection is enlarged from hormone imbalance, from not always eating well. If you're craving high with sugars, then you really want to think about this Mediterranean diet, because Mediterranean diet will give you a little bit of the carbs, and it'll give you fresh fruits and vegetables, and that's the approach that they do, and it really helps open up your circulation, and it also brings down your inflammation, and that's how all of that kind of goes together hand in hand. So the key components of a Mediterranean diet, really important to focus in on this so you get that idea of what this diet is really about. It's eating primarily plant-based foods, and they're talking fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and nuts, which you basically did on the second week of the cleanse. Replacing butter with healthy fats such as olive oil. And you have to be careful because olive oil is a lot of calories per tablespoon. So when you're using it, you want to be aware of how much you're having and how many calories that is, because fat is chock full of calories, but you want to definitely have olive oil because it's wonderful for you. You just have to be careful how much. Everything is in moderation. Using herbs and spices instead of salt to flavor foods, that is wonderful. We've been really working with the herbs and spices. And then also limiting red meat. to no more than few times a month. Wow, a few times a month. Interesting, huh? So connecting more with fish and chicken and your nuts and seeds. Eating fish and poultry at least twice a week, and then drink red wine in moderation. Of course, that's optional. But I know I have quite a few people that always ask me about drinking and you know how I probably will ban them from drinking, and it's not something that I believe is important to talk about. It's not one of the first things that I tell somebody they need to cut out. Sometimes if somebody feels like they're drinking too much, to say, glasses of wine every day, and they're doing it not for just casually, socially, and they're realizing they're using it for something more than just that I have clients that will stop drinking as much as they have before they came into a program. And so it's not something that I say you need to cut that out right now. You see, it even gives you proof that drinking red wine in moderation is wonderful. So let's move on from there. So you're focusing on fruits, vegetables. We just cleaned your palate, so this should be pretty fun and easy. But the recipes I'm going to give you, I think, are really fun. They're more fun than the ones I gave you through your journey with me and any of the recipes I've given you before. But you want to really focus in on eating whole foods and really starting to look at the fresh herbs and spice it up so that your metabolism has a little jump start to it. And then also talking about the red meat. So the handout that you got will go more into detail of that. And then they really focus in on choosing low-fat dairy. Now, for me, just as a coach wanting you to eat something in its purest form, when you start using stuff that's low-fat, then you start dealing with higher sugar foods. And sugar has been linked with a lot of bad stuff for your body, really heavy aging and bad for circulation and inflammation. And it just brings up your insulin, and then insulin will wreak havoc in your body. So think about that one, though, for that when you're choosing. So your recipes today are going to be classic Greek salad, and it's going to be basic. It's going to have all the whole foods that you want with oregano. Oregano is incredible for your circulation, so it's wonderful. Your tomatoes, and then we talked about tomatoes in one of our calls, so I think that you'll really, really like that. And then even if you want to add some feta cheese, which is really great. Now, I had a client this morning say that they add feta cheese to their salads, and that the feta cheese is something that they don't digest well. So you want to really listen to your body. But you see how you have like oregano, you have onions, you have a little bit of ground pepper and some honey. Take out the stuff that doesn't work for you. Bring in all the stuff that you love, and it's easy. You're just chopping it up, throwing it together. You've had lots of experience with chopping up those foods. And then also you have your Greek salad. Greek salad, it's just a real basic salad that has artichoke hearts. What's great about artichoke is that it helps with your gallbladder and being able to make that bile. So you want to keep eating the artichoke hearts because it's going to help the process go with your circulation, and then also breaking down your fat that's coming in your body. Because once your body has the fat in it and is starting to digest it, it needs the bile so that the bile can break it down and your body can absorb the fat. So you really need to take care of the gallbladder. And if you don't have a gallbladder, it will help your liver release that also, because the liver takes over what the gallbladder used to do once you don't have one. All right, so pepperoncinis, you have your little spice there, which is, I definitely want you to download these recipes and enjoy. Now we're throwing even in some pastas. So having some pastas, and again, the basil, we have the feta cheese, tomatoes, and I would go more for the wheat penne pasta. And if wheat doesn't work for you, then you kind of test it. There's quinoa. There's all these different pastas these days, which is wonderful. Again, a very easy recipe. Then you have your Mediterranean chicken pasta, which is incredible because then you have your lean protein. You have your sun-dried tomatoes, which is wonderful to be able to have that. It really adds a wonderful taste to the food. And then you have your pastas with your angel hair pasta, and the list goes on. And you're just watching the foods that you're eating and having fun with it, instead of being so strict with just fruits and vegetables, you are starting to add more things in, and you're starting to have more fun with your food, and you're staying away from the packaged foods. Everything I showed you was whole foods. So the foods that you want to keep eliminated is processed foods. The gluten is, if you've already tested it and you know that you have an issue with gluten. If not, I would do some elimination testing to see if you have any issues with gluten. They do estimate that there's a high percentage of us that have issues with gluten because it's just different plants than what they used to be, because we're mass producing them, so the plant doesn't grow as big. Dairy, we already talked about dairy because the beautiful, wonderful bacteria that you need to digest the dairy since it's gone through its pasteurized process, that it's really lost the enzymes. It destroys the enzymes and diminishes the vitamins, which is interesting too. So all the vitamins that it says that it does get hurt through the pasteurized process. Sugar you want to be careful of. Soy products you want to be careful of. Having soy, whole soy, off and on is wonderful. It's good for you. But then what happens is when you start eating soy products that are just part of a package and it says soy, you make sure that it doesn't that you don't eat that, because that is when it really starts messing with our hormones. You have to be real careful. And then caffeine. Caffeine, you may be drinking caffeine, but really watch how much caffeine you drink, because it really sways with your emotions. Your caffeine intake will affect how much you really want sugar, and how much you're craving sugar. And then so it's just the highs and lows that caffeine does to your body, and so you have to be really careful in how much caffeine you have. So if you're one of those that really loves caffeine, I want you to step in and start testing yourself and seeing how much your body really is absorbing your food and okay with it. So we talked about your gluten. We talked about processed foods. We talked about soy and caffeine. So when this list right here is one to keep an eye on. How is your body reacting once you are drinking or eating something that has one of these in it? And do you feel tired? Because I'm actually making a video today, and it's talking specifically about, having these diagnostic tools. And one of them is how your energy is really giving you information about who you are and what you're eating and how you're feeling. So it's one of those things you have to be very aware of. So it's a great, easy way to really test what you're eating and how you're feeling. But I wanted to bring to you this Mediterranean diet because I think it's a wonderful way to be able to feel like you're splurging, but you have all those wonderful fresh herbs and you have the fresh vegetables. And so we're still going along the journey of having all the great stuff that we have been talking about, but you're living a regular life. You can go anywhere and order a meal that has something like that. And so you want to keep in touch with what works for you. So here's something that I gave you today. If you've already received tons of recipes from me, which I believe everybody listening to this video has at this point, then think about what works for you and what makes you feel like you don't have as bad of cravings, because our body off balance, we're going to find a lot of cravings that's basically going to make us feel very emotional and make us feel like we don't want to, I don't know, not living a life that where we feel inspired. And I was talking at the top of this class about how when I first got on the call, I was looking at all these videos I've been doing for over these years. It was just like going from page to page and looking, and I was thinking emotionally how much time and energy I've put into really learning about foods and about how it makes us feel and about coaching to help you step into action. And the stuff that we've talked about today, and we've talked through the detox or the 14 days to flat belly, I really want you to step into it and own it. And I was coaching somebody today, and sometimes, I realize that not everybody's ready to be coached, I mean, what I'm saying, I'm hoping that you are open and listening to it and feeling that, you're ready to make changes, that this video is coming to you at a time when you're just tired of saying that you're okay and that you really don't need to make any changes. But I want you to step in today, grab this information, feel like you're ready to step into more action and just keep it moving forward. And I wish you a fit day. I want you to take this workbook and spend some time with it. Make some new recipes and start really playing with the foods that you've learned about, what's working for you and what's not, and just finding new ways to cook it and prep it. And when you're in a hurry, hopefully you already have stuff prepped so you can throw it together. And there's going to be times when it doesn't work for you and you're going to splurge. Give yourself that space to splurge. Remember, it's never 100%. But when you step into something new, you want to try 100% because you need to make those adjustments. And then once you get going, it's real life stuff. So it's first starting with taking a break and focusing specifically on the changes you want to make and being 100%. The next step is how are you going to blend it for the rest of your life and really being serious about it so that you don't fall back into elements that have not worked for you in the past. So you have a wonderful day. I'll catch up with you soon. And thanks for being here. Bye-bye.